and welcome. I'm Valerie Niles. My pronouns are she, her, and I am an open space technician with Midpeninsula Regional Open Space District. And today I'm leading our discussion here on tools, trails, and teamwork, field maintenance careers. But first, I just wanted to chat a little bit, and I wanted to put this out there that if you're here for field maintenance careers, you're probably a little weird. And you've probably been described as a little different, and maybe deep down you're looking for something different to do with your life. And maybe you want to shake things up a bit. You feel most like yourself when you're outside working with your hands, creating something, getting sweaty and dirty, or just finding joy in life when you're having these big, awesome, like shared experiences alongside others that are really like character building projects that you're doing. And I just wanted to put out there that folks who work in trails, we're some of the most hardworking, dedicated and passionate folks and most friendly people that you're ever going to come across. And, we're out here doing this work because we want to give back, right? And we want to protect the nature that surrounds us and help build something bigger than ourselves, and take pride in seeing people out there engaging with nature, taking it all in and just knowing like, hey, we shaped some of that. So if that sounds appealing to you, you're in the right place. Woohoo! So we'll get started. I'm, as you can tell, as a field maintenance person, I'm not comfortable sitting in this is going to be a hard hour of sitting in one spot. I'm really honored to be sharing the stage today with these talented park professionals to chat with you all about our field maintenance careers, what we do, how we got to where we are, and just passing along any advice for folks who are interested in getting going on this path. I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves with their name, their position, and the organization that we're there with. So, and kicking it off.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Andrew Martini. I am with Sonoma County Regional Parks, about 2 hours north of here. I'm currently a park ranger, but I spent better half of 8 years as parks and grounds maintenance worker.
Here's the mobile one. Oh, look at that. It's not turned on. I'll pass that back to you, Val.
All right, is it working? I'm Heidi McFarland, and I'm with the West Valley College Park Management Program. I'm currently the department chair, but before that, I actually had a 22-year career in parks. Quite a bit of that was actually in trails and maintenance.
Hi, I'm Patrick Courtright, maintenance supervisor for Santa Cruz District. I've been doing trails and maintenance for about 23 years.
And I'm Megan Robinson. I'm supervising open space technician for Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority.
Great, and then I'm going to get these guys warmed up as well as getting them personalized and introduced to all of you. My icebreaker question today is, what is a topic that you could give a 20-minute talk on, like your own personal TED Talk on anything for 20 minutes? What are you the armchair expert on? Does not have to be trails related. And for me, it is the show Bob's Burgers. It's my ultimate favorite. I play a game with my husband where he starts an episode, and it's my job to be able to guess what episode it is before like the plot really like gets away and stuff and everything like that. So if you're a Bob's Burgers fans, come talk to me because I love Bob's. Andrew?
Not really trail or maintenance related. As much as I love spending time outside, I do love my video games. So I think one of my favorite franchises would be the Borderlands franchise. If anyone out there, I see some head nods. I could go 20 plus minutes on that. So feel free to talk to me afterwards about what your character build is.
Well, as a teacher and a community college, I kind of saw this question and laughed because I think you could give me damn near any topic and I can talk about it for 20 minutes and make it sound fun. But if I were to pick a favorite topic, it would probably be medicinal and edible plants.
I'd have to say fishing, and specifically surf fishing for perch.
I guess for me it'd be horses, like how to get them ready for endurance rides, how to get them exposed to trails, used to bikes, and things like that.
Neat. Thank you all for sharing. Now you know all of us. But to get into the thick of things here, so kicking it off, we wanted to, we're talking about, of course, obviously maintenance careers. So what's the, just the short, 2-minute version of how you got to, when you started your career, of how you got from where you started to where you are now? Just 2 minutes. I'm going to time it and go.
I bet I could do it in less than 2 minutes. So I had just graduated college at Sonoma State University. I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, and then after spending about 1,000 hours of volunteer time, I go, this isn't what I want to do. This is the exact opposite. So I was on a hike at North Sonoma Mountain with my sister back in 2016 now. I saw a job posting, and sometimes that's the beauty of just putting a flyer up. I saw a job posting and said, that'd be really fun. I love hiking. I've spent my entire life hiking and recreating in the parks, and I started from the very entry-level position of Park A and worked my way up, and now I even get to live in one of the parks. So just sometimes that's all it takes is a little glimmer.
That's the icing on the cake when you get to have employee housing with where you work. Ooh, it's a definite perk of the job. Yeah.
Well, I found the West Valley College Park Management program way back in the 90s when I had just graduated from high school. As a high schooler, I was one of my good friends, and I always were like, we want to be park rangers. That's one of the coolest jobs ever. So ironically, that was the one title I never held, was park ranger. I had about 6 or 7 different titles in parks, but never actually became a law enforcement officer. But park management at West Valley Community College is where I found my career path, and actually found quite a few different career paths within parks, and have enjoyed every bit of it. And now I'm there teaching full time. I've come full circle, like the Maverick.
I drive a Maverick.
It was kind of a slow start for me. I was trying to become a cook, and I got tired of working indoors, and I answered the call for the California Conservation Corps. And I worked up in Del Norte County at their Del Norte Center, did their backcountry trails program, and after that program, I wanted to work close to home. And I made a phone call to where I did my front country, was in Santa Cruz District, and they hired me as a park aide, and it went from there, just crawling up to supervisor.
Yeah, my story's kind of similar. It started with wanting to be a vet, a large animal vet, and then realizing the schooling that would entail, and a few kind of gross vet calls with my horses that creeped me out a bit. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm not cut out for this, but I wanted to be outdoors. So I searched West Valley College, and I found a firefighting course there, wildland firefighting course. So I signed up for it. And everybody at the course was asking, are you part of the park management program? And I didn't really know what they were talking about. And then I realized, this is a part of a bigger picture. It's just a single course that's part of a program. So then I started taking the classes, and one of the courses is an internship. And so I got in with Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority and did my internship, and from there got hired. This is back in 2005, and I've been there ever since. So started as an intern, became an OST, and then a lead, and now a supervisor.
And the reason why I want everyone to give their 2 to 5 minute version of where they are, where they started, how they got to where they are now is, and I'm sure you might agree, you'll find that most folks who are in maintenance careers, it's rare to see someone who starts goes straight into it. Most of us have had career, lives before you are in the life that you have now. It's usually a second career, or something that you stumble into, or you're in one lane, and then you decide, nope, this is not the lane for me. I want something else. That's essentially how I stumble into it as well. I was doing one thing, I was very lost. I opened up a college catalog for inspiration on what should I do, and I was like, hey, park management, West Valley College. Let me check that out, and then bada bing, bada boom. So, wherever you are, in your journey, whether you are just fresh out of high school, fresh out of school, and getting into it, or if this is going to be a second, third, fourth career for you, it doesn't matter. If you got the right attitude, you're going to fit right in. So, leading into that, what does a typical day look like for you in terms of routine and responsibilities? And I know everyone's rolling their eyes at me because in maintenance careers, there is no typical routine day. But if you were going to if you could describe like a day in the life, what would that look like?
Yeah, you can only schedule or plan so far out, and with how many parks, I think we're upwards of 60 in Sonoma County regional parks, and the acreage, and depending on weather, all seasonal park usage, but we try our best to plan it. We start at 6 a.m. And then we have satellite reporting locations based on where we live, which is kind of nice. It's so not everyone has to drive terribly far. And then we check in with our senior maintenance workers, kind of let them know the plan of the day. We'll check in with other people, and half of the battle the first hour of the day is just logistics of, okay, where's this piece of equipment? What hardware, what lumber do we need? What's access egress to wherever we're going? Figure out who's working with you, and if you need more people or if you're fine with a few less. And so really that's just like the first hour alone. And then there's always drive time to account for. But I mean, again, it's like a seasonal thing. I mean, the past couple months, if there's any sort of significant rain, the Russian River will flood over, and you have a solid 2 weeks of flood cleanup. Just trees down, silt, because the end goal is opening the parks back up. I'm sure every agency feels this way, but our department does not like a closed park. And so, who cleans that up? It's not the ferries in the middle of the night. It's if people see a closed park and the next day it's open, they go, whoa, I don't know how that got done. Well, that's maintenance. Maintenance takes care of that. And so we excuse my language, we bust ass to do it too. So do it for the people.
Exactly.
All right. Do you want me to answer this from when I was a maintenance worker in trails?
You get to choose your own adventure with it.
Not the same as it once was. So I'm going to answer this from when I was a maintenance worker working for Santa Clara County Parks on trails, because I'm now a teacher or professor at West Valley College, which a typical day in my life is not anywhere near what it used to be when I was working on trails. When I was a maintenance worker for Santa Clara County Parks, I worked at Stevens Creek County Park in Sanborn, and we had a lot of trails to maintain. Honestly, the seasons made a huge difference, right? In the summertime, generally things weren't so bad. It was hot working out there, so we tried to avoid the trails in the summertime because of fire hazards and whatnot. But in all the rest of the seasons of the year, trails were a constant part of our workday and planning, and it was a matter of hurry up and clean the bathrooms so we could get out on the trails and get to the fun work. And so we would come in at 7 a.m., knock out all the bathrooms, knock out all the group areas, all the core business, as they used to call it, so that we could get out and address any of the trail issues. And sometimes it was easier than others. Sometimes we didn't have the support to be able to go on the trail. Sometimes it was like, oh, you're just going to go out there and play. It's like, no, actually, they really need work. But that entails, getting the chainsaw up and running, making sure that you have plenty of fuel, and you're carrying it all in on the trails. So making sure that your backpack has, a plastic liner in it so that gasoline and bar oil don't spill all over everything, and making sure you have enough of all of that, having an extra chain, having wedges, extra chainsaws, pole saws, getting all the equipment, having files and whatnot for being able to maintain your stuff while you're out there in the field, because if you're a mile in, you don't want to have to turn around and go back for that. And then one of the other, I think, fun things that I was able to do kind of in that program was we created a trail assessment program, so we could actually monitor all the work that needed to be done on our trails and prioritize it. So because otherwise it's just overwhelming when you have miles and miles of trails. So we could actually have a systematic approach to what trails are we going to address today and why, and what areas are we going to focus on, so that we could knock it out in terms of priority and all of that fun stuff. But that was definitely my favorite part of the career as a maintenance worker, was getting out on the trails. I especially like to get out there when it was raining, because during the rainy season you can really help divert the water and keep it from damaging your trail. And it was really gratifying to see a whole stream of water going down the middle of your trail and then watch it go off the trail and not damage your trail. That was one of my favorite things to do, is come back muddy. I'll turn it over to you.
Typical day with me, it usually starts at 7 a.m. I circle up with my crew. We talk about the plans for the day, what everybody's doing. They take off. I go to my office. I check my emails, and I start calling vendors, and I start calling contractors, and start arranging meetings to look at these things that need to be fixed with these contractors, and then go into writing contracts with them. And yeah, then I have them come do the work. I pay them with my credit card, and the work's done. And then my staff comes home at the end of the day.
Yeah, mine's kind of similar to his. It starts at 6:30. I have a morning huddle with about half of my crew. I have a crew of 9 people and 2 seasonal staff. So half of them are there for the 6:30 start, and then we have later shifts that come in to like close the preserve, and my opener is usually already out of that, so I don't get to meet with him. So we kind of go over the plan for the day. We write it for the week before, but then that day is kind of like day of changes. Like, oh, you finished that yesterday, so let's change it up today. Let's just have you go like weed eat this section, or oh, you know, let's change priorities. This is actually more important. We have, you know, some people coming out to look at the property, like, you know, whether it's someone from Post or someone who's donated money, or so it's kind of like a lot of last minute changes, but we try to write weekly plans. And then after our morning huddle, then I kind of get sucked into the email land. And then when I can, I escape out with the crew, and so get to go weed eat with them, go do trail work. You know, and I also try to get out and look at how things are looking too, if they're not able to update me as well or have the same eye on what might need repairs. So as much as I can, I get out and kind of quality control check what the preserves are looking like, and open and closed properties, because it's not all just open parks for us. There's a lot of preserves that are closed to the public. So that sums it up.
And Megan and Patrick are both in supervisory roles, so that's why you're hearing some about, you know, dealing with contracts and credit cards and emails and all those things. But, you know, obviously they got their boots dirty, you know, and still do and continue to. You know, for myself in my role, because I'm an entry-level position, I'm open space technician at Midpen, and just for my day, like we start at 7 a.m. We have a 7 a.m. morning meeting where same thing. You can see like something that's similar across the board is that there's always a meeting where you get together, you get your assignments for the day, you check in with everyone, you see what equipment that you have, vehicles, things like that, and then you kind of go your own ways and go out into the field. But one of the key things, and I'm sure folks will agree on this too, is that you have to be flexible in your role. Nothing is, you know, your day can turn on a dime, especially if someone's got the excavator out that you need, or like the 550 has a flat tire or something, or, you know, so-and-so is out, so now, you know, we've got to fill this in, or suddenly it starts dumping rain on you, you know, it's like, well, there goes those plans for the day. So that's a big thing, is being able to just roll with the punches and roll with the thunder and move into what's next for you. And let's see here. So, yes.
Just because I see so many folks here from the San Jose Conservation Corps, a big part of my job working on trails was working with the San Jose Conservation Corps, and so as a regular maintenance worker, not even a supervisor, we would supervise crews of volunteers too, so park management students, and make plans. Like when we were out there on the trail, we would try and identify areas where we could use a bigger crew and get more people out there, because generally there was only 1 or 2 of us that were out there working on the trails. So just wanted to shout out, because, you know, it takes a village to maintain trails and parks, and so coordinating and working with volunteers and the public and groups like the San Jose Seas and the California Seas was a big part in getting tools ready and prepped for larger groups, and learning how to do tool safety talks and how to make sure that you teach people how to properly use the tools so they don't get injured, and having things like extra water and electrolytes out there for groups of people, because it often, you know, while one person with a chainsaw can do a lot, there's sometimes a lot of extra work that you need multiple hands to actually get the trails looking good for the next season.
Definitely. And, you know, we're mentioning trails a lot, but field maintenance covers a really wide scope of work, you know, and it's including but not limited to, of course, trail brushing and maintenance. It's chainsaw work, it's invasive plant removal and vegetation management, it's wildland fire response, it's construction projects, it's using power tools and heavy equipment operation, and it goes on and it goes on and goes on. So wondering if you would if there's an area of this work that's your favorite, and what makes that specific focus so enjoyable for you. I'll go first. My favorite, I'm on the general maintenance crew, so I'm always out there doing trail brushing and rubbing up in poison oak and all the fun things. But my real passion of this last year has been, I love rock work. Like any time that we get to do like build the rock head walls around the culvert, or I get to smash rocks and shape them, and I'm really excited. Next month I'm going to a trails conference, and I'm taking a stonework for trails and a stone splitting course, and I'm so stoked on it. But so anytime there's rocks involved in the stone in trail work, that's me all over it. So that's mine. Andrew, what's up for you?
I'm an avid woodworker outside of work, as much as I can, although it's kind of reduced down to just cutting boards for friends and family. Everyone all of a sudden wants a cutting board when they know woodworker. My favorite thing was a lot of the carpentry that we would do. So punch-ons, footbridges, any sort of structures. But my favorite type of carpentry and woodworking I did for work is that we actually had our own lumber mill. And so when we had... Yeah, the Lucas Australian one. And so when we'd have redwood trees contracted to be cut down, we would actually haul that to our mill at one of our parks. And you see the full 360-degree process where we mill it into the slabs and the boards, process that, and then we actually would build the memorial plaque furniture in some of our regional parks. And so for a while there, I was trying to develop not a program, but like a brand that showed people, hey, this started as a tree in one of the parks, and now it's this memorial bench for a past family member, or whatever it was that was sponsored. So that was pretty cool and gratifying. And just maintenance in general is you get this finished project or product. You work so hard on it, and you get to put your touch, and you can also kind of tease other people too. That's kind of half the game, is you look at theirs and you're like, mine's kind of better than yours. I don't know. But yeah, having that finished product at the end of a long week, and you worked so hard on it, and you're like, wow, I did that. Look at the before and after.
Well, for me, honestly, trails, everything trails. It was the rock work, the woodwork, the working in the mud, chainsaws, power pole pruners, working with volunteers, working with different crews, and that was all my favorite part of the job. Aside from that, I was also a park interpreter, though, and I have to say, taking kids out there into parks and letting them explore and see the light bulbs go on, and that spark of interest was another favorite part of my job, for sure.
Trails is fun, but it's not the whole world.
That's why I put that preference in there. Yep.
I do like a punjar. But I think what really kind of geeks me out is historic work, like working on historic structures. Like one of my parks is a 2-story adobe that's out in the middle of nowhere in Watsonville, and part of an original rancho from the Mexican period. And so I get to go out and do adobe work. We built a whole casino. We made a mud floor, actually poured mud, and then sealed it with linseed oil. It was quite a process. It was really fun. So learning how things are done, 100 and 200 years ago, it's really neat. Just like seeing trees being milled from the tree to the lumber, it's all that process of learning how all that's put together, how it was made. It's really fascinating.
Okay, my favorite thing's not as exciting. I actually love weed eating or weed whipping. I could do it for hours. Just go out there. You're just back and forth.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah, it's very zen for me. And especially when you just all of a sudden the trails look open. They look manicured. The public feels safe. Some of them aren't total nature lovers. They might be afraid of ticks or rattlesnakes, and as soon as you've weed-eated the side of the trail and it opens it up for them, and it opens the sight lines for equestrians and for horses, it all of a sudden just looks beautiful to me. It took a while because I was kind of started off as a single track person. I wanted to ride my horse through single track. I wanted brush to hit me in the face and duck under branches, and so then maintaining trails, open sight lines, that's not as pretty, but then I kind of grew appreciation for that, and that I think is my favorite thing, is just being out there for hours and hours and weed eating.
And just hearing everyone's what their favorite things are also just brings to mind for me that I would also really recommend, and that's been career advice that was passed down for me from one of my mentors at Midpen, and I'm sure other folks would say this too, but each agency has different, right, slightly different focuses. Like we really all have like the same goal, but there's certain doing historic restoration and working on historic buildings. That's so not on my radar because that's not something that I do every day in my role. So we really encourage people, and the advice that was given to me was to go to work at as many different agencies as you can. Because so that you can see like what's their focus, what's the work that they do there, and what's what's the thing that's like when you think about this question in your future, like what is your jam, what's going to be your favorite thing to do in this work. My quick story is going to be that I started off as a seasonal for Midpen, and then I was going to do my first season at Open Space Authority, but I was so loyal and so dedicated to Midpen, and I called my supervisor, and I was like almost in tears about it because I was like, but I'll come back. I was like, I'll be right there. I'm like, do you want me to? I'm like, I got an offer. Should I take it? I don't know, but I'm ready to come back when it's time. And that's what he said to me. He's like, no, go to different agencies, see what they do, learn from them. You'll figure out what's the place that you want to be. So that's something to keep in mind when we're talking about your careers. And in talking about getting advice from people, panel, what advice would you give to current or aspiring professionals in your line of work or in conservation in general? Like if you're young bucks here looking to get get met on the boots and get started, what would you say?
A foot in the door it's a phrase, but it applies so much. Is just get out there, get in touch with the agencies, just start asking around. And sometimes, a lot of us on the panel here, we started just from the bottom. That doesn't always have to be the case, but utilize those resources. Most of these departments are very willing to train their people up. They want good employees, and they want to set people up for success and prepare them. And just like Valerie was saying, it's like you kind of build like this rapport with everybody, and you're like, I think there's another job out there, and it breaks your heart to say it, but I guarantee management will be happy for you. They want to see you succeed. And so I think regardless of your position, get those certifications, get that experience, get those certs, and do what you need to do, and just be ready to lateral and rebound and kind of adjust your trajectory. And not everyone has to have a solid set in stone plan.
Exactly. And like Andrew just mentioned, honestly, like the people that your bosses or your coworkers that you're working for, whether you're being a seasonal or you have a job, everyone just wants to see you get hired permanently somewhere. Like that's if they want it to be with them, of course, but we all know that you got to chase that opportunity where you've got it. So you get it, you land a job, like everyone's cheering for you.
I think what I'm going to say. Go to park management at West Valley College.
Yep.
Take some classes, get certifications. As he was saying, it's really great to have some certifications on your record, even if you don't go through our whole program. We have a lot of classes that offer the key certifications, wilderness first responder, chainsaws, your wildland firefighting, things like that, and CIG, Certified Interpretive Guide for interpreters. Lots of great courses. But aside from that, I also tell our students to get your foot in the door, get a seasonal job while you're taking classes. That way you're gaining seasonal experience while you're getting more qualifications to fill in that resume. So that hopefully after 2 years through going through schooling and going through seasonal work, you are the perfect candidate for a full-time permanent position at any one of these agencies. Also volunteering, as someone who was a former volunteer coordinator, I can't speak highly enough about getting out there and volunteering. And that's definitely another way to try out the agency without working for them, is to go and experience what it's like to volunteer at that agency. You kind of get an idea of what their priorities are, what their projects are, what their staff is like, what the community around that park is like, because it tends to draw projects tend to draw a community from the local area. It's a great way to start gaining experience. The other thing I tell my students too is to look at the job specifications online, because these are all government organizations and everything is is online for you to look at. Job specifications, applications, those are all out there. And look at what the minimum qualifications are. Look at what the preferred skill sets are, and start filling in your resume. Gaining that experience wherever you can get it. If they say they want you to have experience coordinating volunteers, well, then see if you can coordinate a creek cleanup event for National River Cleanup Day or Coastal Cleanup Day. Anyone can do that as a volunteer. Find ways that you can fill in the resume, fill in all that experience that the different agencies are looking for, so that when it comes to the interview for the full-time position, you have everything ready to go, and will knock the competition out of the park. It is all online. So check out the websites for the different agencies, look at the job specs, and start putting in there. Most of the agencies actually have a little button that you can say notify me when this position becomes available. So that's the other thing I tell my students, is to go on all the different agencies and click that notify me for all the different jobs that you're interested in. That way you get a notification when it becomes posted, because sometimes they go fast. And so you want to be one of the first to be notified when it becomes available. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested, I actually have physical copies of what these job postings look like. Also, one of them is a current position, but just so you get an idea of what sort of those definitions are in navigating these websites. And I mean, I just go on, for example, government jobs. I think all of the municipal and government positions. And
Gov job, CalOps, yep.
Yeah, so once you learn to navigate those, it's so easy to just pick and choose and like you said, just get notified when something does open up. So feel free to stop by after.
I'm going to also piggyback on it too. Talking about volunteering for agencies, that was actually a comment that our volunteer program manager made to me to mention in this talk, is that they do, if you put you volunteer with an agency, and then put that on your resume as your experience, and then because they have to verify, they have the volunteer programs will go in and say, oh, did this person work here? How many hours did they do? And then and they'll talk with the volunteer program leader and be like, oh yeah, I know that person. So again, right, another great way to build rapport and to get recognition and foot in the door. So definitely do that. And we're so lucky in the Bay Area here that we have such a wide variety of agencies that are all looking for volunteers and have a wide range of interests too, that you can do volunteer work with. So Patrick, your turn.
I guess don't be afraid to get dirty. Usually when you're starting your career out, you're starting kind of on the lower end of things, on the bottom. Those jobs tend to be like bathroom cleaning and grunt work and things like that. Don't be afraid of those things. The less you fear it and the more you excel at it, more opportunities are going to open up for you in the future. And and just be willing, open-minded to trying new things. I've experienced this with a lot of people over the past, and they've come in, they've never towed a trailer before, and they're like, I'm really afraid. Just be open-minded about it. We're not trying to kill you. We want you to be successful in it. We're going to give you a tutorial on how to do it. We'll make sure it's safe, and just slow and steady wins the race on that one. And just be open-minded and willing to try new things.
I'm also going to piggyback on that too, because again, being open-minded for things. Everyone that you work with, the professionals that have their jobs, if you show interest, and are genuinely curious, people want to share their skills. They want to help build you up with that, so don't be afraid to ask questions if you are in a seasonal role, or even if, you're, volunteering or something, take time, hang out afterwards, chat with folks, and cleaning bathrooms is like a rite of passage. Everyone's had to do it, and it's something that you're gonna bond over that you can chat about. But definitely, I love that. Keep an open mind, ask questions.
I actually went in reverse. I started out doing trails, never cleaned bathrooms, and then became a permanent, and then had to clean bathrooms. So I took a promotion with a demotion, so to speak.
Hey, cleaning bathrooms was going to be one of my favorite things that I like to do. Well, you know what? We get a lot of compliments on our preserves because our bathrooms are so clean. So there is a lot of pride in cleaning bathrooms, but we are limited to 2 pit toilets. I'm sure it gets a little overwhelming when there's tons of toilets. But for me, I think volunteering is a great entryway. One of my coworkers who's since retired, he volunteered with Midpen, and then he volunteered with Open Space Authority. He was a auto mechanic his whole life and was kind of wanted to get out of that drama, and he was in his mid to late 40s, and he got a job with us from from being a volunteer and showing passion in plant ID. And so we started off as an open space technician and then became our very first ever equipment mechanic operator. So you never know what volunteering can get you and who can notice you from those simple things. And then also another thing is like, go to websites and look up workshops like local cattle grazing workshops, local NRCS soil things, flowers, Native Plant Society, and you can go to these workshops and they're maybe $50 to attend. It might even include a lunch, and then you meet people like us who are going there because it's part of our job. And then you get to also see kind of where you want to narrow down your career. Like, oh, I really kind of like this plant stuff. I like these native plants, or I like invasive plant society, or whatever. I don't know. No, that's California Native Plant Society. But anyways, you could start to find these different like specialty areas, and then see what you really want to focus in, and then you run into the people that work in the parks that are at those workshops, and that's a great way to meet people.
Yes. We can keep going on this subject as well. If you guys are thinking of more things you want to share, please, pass it around.
And this might be getting into the weeds just a little bit. Yes, that pun was intended. But when you apply for jobs, it's also key to be looking at the job specifications and matching the words. So some of the HR screening is done by bots now. And I'm not sure about Midpen, but I know some of the bigger agencies, they screen the applications first, not by people, right, but by AI, and they're looking to make sure that you have the right terminology in your application that matches the job specification. And so this is the one time where the copy and paste is not plagiarism. I have to teach that to my students, right, because everyone's been taught, oh, that's plagiarism, you can't copy and paste, but this is actually the time where you should be copying and pasting your current job kind of skills that are from your current job specifications into your application, because that's what's going to pick up all those keywords when you apply. Obviously, it eventually gets to a human, but you need to make sure that it gets to the human first by copy and pasting all those keywords into your work experience, so that it shows that you have the skills that the job specifications are asking for.
Did anyone else want to chime in on this one? Any other thoughts on? Okay. Well, the
cover letters too. Have a cover letter.
Yes. Let's see. Well, one of my other final questions. We're getting to the end here, but do you have a favorite? Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna skip that one because I want to ask this one instead. If we have more time, I'll ask that one. But for funsies, it was, what is your favorite inspirational quote, lyric, or model that reminds you of your why? But we'll ask that one at the end. The bigger question, of course, is what is your why for this job and the work that you do?
Like I had prefaced earlier, I spent like 1,000 hours just in physical therapy clinics and in hospitals and just in indoor settings. And that was one of the key things is like I grew up and I frequented, parks and recreating, and this whole other half of me was just stuck under these white lights. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand it. I would get fidgety sitting, in one spot. And
yep.
It was just such a cool thing. And I mean, it sounds cheesy, but being able to, put my touch and my work into the same places that I go recreate in, like, when I first started dating my wife, we'd go on hikes everywhere, and then we'd walk by, and I would obviously choose a park that I did extensive work at, and so we'd cross a bridge and I'd go, I built that, right? And so it's pretty cool. It's like and that could very well be there for years, and you could show your kids or your friends in 10, 15, and just having your mark on it, especially. It's, to me, that's that giving back. Everyone, gives back in different ways. And to me, that was the coolest part of it. And just, when you work for a park agency, I mean, they're not kidding when they say you get paid in like sunrises and sunsets, I mean, how many people get to have lunch out in the middle of a park? It's like every day is a picnic, unless it's raining.
Exactly.
For me, being out in open spaces and in nature is something I've been drawn to since I was a kid. It's always helped me process, trauma, casualties in my life, hardships, it being out there has been a very healing thing for me. I'm an avid backpacker, so I really like to get out into the wilderness, and that's where I just find that humility that we all kind of need. So the thought of those places not existing for my future self and for my children and my children's children is something that I don't even like to think about. I think the value of our public lands is so vital to our health and our mental well-being that it's hard to think of them going away, right? And so my passion is to not only protect and preserve these places for future generations, but also to continue to inspire the newer generations to appreciate them as well. Because if the newer generations don't continue to appreciate these public lands and these open spaces, it's very likely that they may start to go away, right? Or they may not be taken care of. We're already seeing budget cuts, and we're already seeing federal employees lose their jobs that are vital to keeping, our public lands in good working condition. And so for me, that's the big why, is to protect and preserve these places, not just for our own use as humans, but all the wildlife that exists there, and just all the magical symbiosis between plants and trees and mushrooms and animals, and all of that is just truly magical space that we humans need to remain connected to. And it's really truly inspirational when I'm able to bring adults out into the wilderness for their first time and just see their entire life change before them, to be out in a remote place and feeling that incredible power of nature. I can't imagine our world without it. So it's back to the public servant and wanting to give back and making sure that everyone has access to it, and that everyone knows the incredible power that it possesses for us to be healed and for us to thrive on this planet and to look after it as stewards.
What she said. No, I mean, really it is. I mean, I think for me it comes down to I work for the many and not the few, and my work is seen by anybody that comes to my park, and that really brings joy to my heart to know that people are recreating and utilizing things that I've fixed, repaired, built, designed myself, and seeing that traffic, seeing the wear on it, and seeing how it just ages, and it's just a really rad thing to see.
Yeah, I think for me, and what I try to teach my kids is that, you could either just have a job with no purpose where you're selling Post-its, or you can have a job where you're conserving land, you're saving the planet, you're inviting the public out to your preserves, you're watching them recreate, you're getting the thank yous, and I love this trail, this is my favorite preserve, and you're seeing the bridges that you built, so there's the legacy work behind it, or maybe you got to name a trail, or you got to be part of the preserve opened, or the trail got constructed. That's all things that are going to be there for our great grandchildren. And so I think working for a place that is mission driven, has a purpose, and that's another thing you can look at when you're trying to pick an agency to work for, is look up their mission statement and see if that aligns with you, because I don't know where I would be if I had just landed a job doing, whatever, selling I'm very grateful, and having gone through, my whole career. I started at 23, I'm 43 now, so 20 plus years, and have gone from, dating my boyfriend and getting married and having kids and, having all these life things go on, and having the stability of a career in parks, where you're just creating such beautiful things, has been a lifesaver. I feel bad for people that don't get to find that kind of a career, so I hope you guys all can.
Absolutely. And then I would jump on it to also say that it's, for everyone in this room, it's never too late, if you want to get into this, now today's the perfect day to start, right? If it's something that's, that's really speaking to you, find the way to make those changes and to get into it. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep. There is one more question that I apparently skipped over that I did want to ask, and then so this will be the final question that I ask, and then I'm going to open it up to question and answer. About 3 more minutes. I'm gonna run a little long because we started a little late, but I know. Okay, sorry. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe someone will ask this question during Q&A. So I'll open it up to question and to Q&A. Let's see. We'll pass the mic around. If you have a question, if you want to come step up to the front and ask your question. Yes, starting it off. Somebody's got to start it.
I'm just gonna hang out here. Sure. Hi, my name is Ezra, and I have a question. As a current seasonal worker, how did you guys, those of you who worked seasonally, manage that, like, in the off season? Something I'm struggling with. And then, as a bonus question, if you have time, what was your favorite off season job?
I guess since I have the microphone, I can answer it quickly. For a long time, and even up until 2 years ago, I still worked 2 jobs. Sometimes that's, it's always critical to have something lined up, and I'm really big on peer support, so I want to make sure some of the seasonal help that, that comes through us, I try my best to set them up with something. And full-time maintenance employee actually set me up with something too. When I was seasonal help, he said, "Hey, I know you're going on your furlough soon. Here's 3 jobs you can pick from it." And I was like, whoa, I didn't have to do any of the work. So, I mean, I was also in the service industry. Waiting tables was a great way to balance the schedule. And a lot of the time, these supervisors in these seasonal positions, they want help. They want you to succeed. They want you to stay. And so they'll work around that. Say, hey, I work this evening, so maybe I can't close that night. But that's how I balanced it was, the easy answer is just, supplement it. And when the hours start getting cut, just have something lined up and prepare.
Yeah, same. I had multiple jobs as well. I'd say my favorite off-season job was actually working at REI, because I could get gear and I could get lift tickets for super cheap. And I had a great network of friends that we could go out and raft and rock climb and do fun things together. But similarly, the park management teaching part-time was my other favorite side job during the off season that got me through, and now it led to a full-time career as an instructor for park management. Aside from that, also I worked, I had a seasonal at state parks, and then when my season ended with state parks, I went to county parks. There's nobody from county parks on the panel, so I went to county parks. And so when your one season ends at one agency, there's often another position at a different agency that might pick you up at that time. And then we've had students that go and work for ski resorts too. If it's winter time, there's always the ski resorts that are needing people. I never got to do that. That sounded like fun though. But yeah, multiple jobs is definitely it. And then I really want to stress the fact that I've talked to a lot of my students about this. I filed for unemployment. You are eligible for unemployment. And so that was probably my favorite off season, is when I filed for unemployment and I traveled. And that was great.
Yeah, second jobs. I worked a second job up until I was a supervisor, just to make ends meet, Unemployment, not legal advice, but you could also work under the table while you're collecting unemployment. But, never do that, no. Yeah, I mean, I just worked tons of jobs. And even during my season, I would work other jobs as well. Like I had construction jobs. I had invasive plant jobs. Like I got those through the community I was living in and stuff like that. And then reach out to your staff, like the upper management staff, your perms and stuff like that. They might know people adjacent to where you're at that are looking for just someone to mow a lawn or do something real simple. So yeah, make sure it's all cash.
I have nothing to add.
I'll make one last comment, because mine was similar, but for myself, I did a late in life career change, and I'm married, and my husband did his late in life career change first, because he became a teacher, and so I held my terrible customer service job while he went into that. But anyways, so for me, I was lucky that my timing worked out, that I did a season at Midpen, and then I went and did a season at OSA, and then I came back and did a season at Midpen. But sometimes there was, but there was still time in between. So for me, it was filing for unemployment that definitely helped, and then I was lucky that I had a partner that, supported me and definitely paid, took, the brunt of paying some more of the bills, while I wasn't making as much, or while I was on unemployment to help make ends meet, and I had done the same for him, while he was doing student teaching and not getting paid, it just really depends on what your situation is, but mostly make sure you file for unemployment, get on that. We are out of time. I just wanted to say, of course, number one, if you have more questions for everyone, please seek us all out, at our booths that we're at again, and all of us are more than happy to chat with you. That's why we're here today. I really want to thank everyone on our panel for giving up your time in the field to be here and talk to everyone today. I know that for myself, that